took a trip with my school to Washington, D.C. for about 5 days. It was really fun and really educational, so I thought I'd tell you all about it. We landed on a Monday, and it was so cold. It was like right around sunset time, like 6 o'clock, and so the first entrance that we had to the city was this beautiful view. I got a really pretty picture of the Washington Monument, which was so pretty. After that, we went to the Vietnam War Memorial, which I couldn't get a lot of pictures of because it was dark, but I got a picture of some statues. So I got a picture of a statue that dedicates all the different people that were there. And then I also got a picture of a memorial to the woman that died in Vietnam. Only, don't quote me on this, but I think 3 or 4 women died in Vietnam. I mean, they weren't drafting women at the time. Then we went to the Lincoln Memorial in the dark, which our guide said was prettier than in the daytime because they have all the lights on it. And then I also looked at the Washington Monument from right where Martin Luther King Jr. stood when he gave his I Am a Dream speech. That was so cool. And then we walked over to the Korean War Memorial, which I also didn't get a lot of pictures of because it was dark. But it has a bunch of soldiers standing in a cluster, and they had a wall. Freedom isn't free, which is true. Lots of people give their lives for the freedom that we enjoy here in America. We did so much stuff the second day. The first thing we did was we visited the Disabled Veterans Memorial. Disabled Veterans Memorial is new. It just opened about a year ago, our guide said. I also didn't get a lot of pictures of it because for some reason they didn't turn out, even though there was good lighting and stuff. I don't know. I have one picture with a quote on it. I really like this because it talks about faith, and I think that a lot of times in today's society we're too shy to mention our faith, and as a Christian I thought it was really cool to see quotes about people's faith on it. Afterwards, we took a picture of the Capitol building. The Capitol building is where Congress meets. It's a beautiful building, but they're scaffolding around it right now because the dome is damaged. After the Capitol building, we went to the Jefferson Library of Congress. Now, the Library of Congress itself is 3 buildings. The Jefferson, the Madison, Monroe. We went into the Jefferson building. A cool little fact about the Libraries of Congress is that if you put the bookshelves together end to end and from all 3 of those libraries, it makes 3 million miles of bookshelves. How cool is that? That's a lot of books. They get sent books the day they're published or even before they're published. I think that might just be American books, but I haven't done enough looking and Googling. I took so many pictures. The building is beautiful. After that, we went to the Holocaust Museum. Now, this museum is not intended to have fun. Let me tell you that much. It is so sad. I'm about to show you a few pictures of walls upon walls upon walls upon feet upon feet upon feet. These walls were so high, and they're pictures of family members of Jewish people that the Nazis took from their home. The wall is so tall, and there were 3.5 walls covered of pictures that the Nazis took from the Jews, and it is so sad. Also, there's a picture here of shoes, of burnt shoes that were taken from concentration camps where they burned clothes. There were a lot of shoes here. This picture just doesn't do it justice. There was a lot of shoes. After that, we did something a little more lighthearted. We went and we got to go up to the top of the Washington Monument. The Washington Monument, to give you size, is 555 feet tall. We went up 500 feet in the air, and the view was incredible. So here's a picture of the view from northeast, south, and west. You could see miles in every direction. I mean, it was crazy. After that, we visited the World War II Memorial. This was just a really pretty memorial. It was really well done. They had fountains. They had a little plaque. I took a cool perspective shot from there. After that, we visited the Jefferson Memorial, not to be confused with the Jefferson Library. The Jefferson Memorial was really cool as well. It was really pretty, and we got it just as the sun was setting, so I took some cool pictures from there. After we visited the Jefferson Memorial, we went to Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, which is also a newer memorial. The thing that's disappointing about this is that a private company raised a lot of money to make this memorial, but they didn't have enough, and so the government came in and helped them, but the government wouldn't let them put anything on the memorial about his faith. And his faith, that's what he did. He was a pastor. So it's just a little disappointing that they weren't allowed to put anything about Martin Luther King Jr.'s faith on there, but it's still a really pretty memorial. After that, the last thing we did that day was we went to the Franklin Roosevelt Memorial. He was a great man, and I admire a lot of the things that he did for our country. On Wednesday of that trip, we went to Mount Vernon. For those of you who don't know, that's the place where George Washington lived. It's his plantation. It was so pretty and so beautiful there, and so mind-boggling. I walked the roads that the founder of America walked on, and I walked through rooms that he lived in. I mean, it was crazy. It was a crazy experience. I loved it. Mount Vernon and the Jefferson Library are probably the two of my favorite things that we did. Everything that we did there, those two are my favorite. It was so pretty. We also saw where George and Martha Washington were laid to rest. This was also a really cool place to be because you could see George Washington's faith and how that affected the making of the Constitution and our country and all that stuff. So that was really, really cool. I really enjoyed that. After lunch, we had the choice between the Air and Space Smithsonian, the Indian Smithsonian, and the National Botanical Gardens. Of course, being me, I love flowers and stuff like that. So I went with a few friends to the National Botanical Gardens. After dinner, we went to the 9/11 Memorial next to the Pentagon. The Pentagon is actually two different colors because they had to obviously build in the hole that the plane made. This is also not a very fun memorial. This happened in my lifetime. I mean, I don't remember it, but it's kind of sobering to think that it happened in my lifetime. Let me explain this memorial a little bit. They have these like benches, and the ones going one way are for the people in the Pentagon that died, and then the ones going the other direction are for the people that were in the airplane that died. This memorial is beautiful. The first thing I did on Thursday was go and take pictures of the White House. I didn't actually get to take a tour because it's hard. They kind of rush you through it because it's where the president lives and they don't want people lingering, stuff like that, so we just didn't do it. I'm going to explain this picture of this protester. This protester has been there for 35 years. Not this particular protester, but this protest tent. I guess it's protesting nuclear weapons. They've been there for a really long time. Honestly, I don't think it's working. If someone leaves that spot, they can take the whole protest away and they can't protest there anymore. So people have been living inside the tent for 35 years. The original woman and her husband have died, but I'm sure there are people that carry it on, and it's honestly something I don't understand. After we visited the White House, we went to the National Cathedral. Talk about a pretty place. I mean, it took them over 100 years to build it, and they're still doing repairs on top of it because there was an earthquake and some of it got knocked down. The building is pretty and large. The stuff inside is pretty and large. There's this window they call their space window, and it's got a 2-inch diameter space rock that got given to them after their moon landing, which is so cool. I thought that was really cool. The window is really pretty too. After lunch, we visited Ford's Theater. For those of you who don't know, Ford's Theater is where Abraham Lincoln was shot, and then he died in a house across the street. So we visited Ford's Theater and the place where he died. After that, I visited the American History Smithsonian and the Natural History Smithsonian. My favorite Smithsonian was the American History one by far because they have a display of First Ladies' dresses. They also have a display of Betsy Ross's flag. That flag was very large. It must have taken her ages. I didn't research how long it took them, but it must have taken them ages. And I also went to the National Sculpture Garden, which is where I took all of my pictures that afternoon because the National Sculpture Garden is crazy cool. So this is modern art, so it may not be for everyone, but I thought these were so cool. After that, we visited the Kennedy Center. We went to the very top. It was so pretty there. It was pretty inside. The last day we were in Washington, D.C., I didn't take a lot of pictures because it just wasn't as interesting. We went to Arlington National Cemetery, saw the changing of the guard. Arlington National Cemetery is also where JFK is buried, his 2 daughters and his wife, who remarried but is buried next to JFK. Then we also went to this really cool memorial. This memorial is to Iwo Jima, which in World War I was the most devastating battle. This statue was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Not enjoyed it, but I really liked this statue. The statue was cool. After that, we actually went inside the Capitol building, took a tour. It wasn't very good, to be honest. I didn't take a lot of pictures because there was scaffolding and construction everywhere. And that's the end of my trip. I really liked this trip. I learned a whole lot. I have such a bigger appreciation for my country and the sacrifices that people make for our country. I think that this trip benefited me a lot. If you have any opportunity, I would strongly recommend you go to Washington, D.C. and check out the memorials, the museums, all that kind of stuff. It was so educational and I really loved it. That's all I have for you today, guys. I don't know what's going to be next. Maybe it'll be so long as to, it'll be August the next time I do a vlog when I'm in Norway. Who knows? See you guys next time. Bye.